Shalom, all praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Harakah, Kodash. Double honors unto the apostles and elders of Great Millstone of all well, and shalom to the hopeful elect. Hey, this is news and prophecy, prophecy and news. Coming back at you again, and I got an article from the Express.co.uk, and it reads, World War III. India and Japan signed military alliance against China as well as world braces for war. Okay, so it says India and Japan have agreed a new military pact as both countries struggle to contain the threat of China, sparking fears of open conflict. Okay, so those wars and rumors of wars are already, they're happening, man, and this backdates to the skirmish that happened between India and China, where I believe the Chinese killed many. Actually, the article is probably going to delve into it. The two countries signed a reciprocal military logistics pact, meaning their respective armed forces will provide each other with logistical support. New Delhi has been seeking to strengthen its regional alliances as tensions with Beijing escalate. Okay, on June 20th, on June 20th, Indian soldiers were killed in a clash with their Chinese counterparts along the two countries' contested border. The agreement was signed by the Indian Defense Secretary Ajay Kumar and Suzuki Satoshi, the Japanese ambassador. The two sides agreed to provide reciprocal provision of supplies and services between their militaries. So I believe they're going to, aid each other with resources, but as well as services and information, all right, between their militaries. India has already signed similar agreements with the United States, Australia, France, South Korea, and Singapore. So you can see these proxies are forming, okay, because ultimately this war boils down to the division amongst East or Edom, all right, the so-called white man, dealing with the elites, the bankers don't even have a side, all right, the elites don't even have a side, but they've made a profit. There's a documentary or article that is a documentary you can find on YouTube that's called All Wars Are Bankers' Wars, where it speaks of the history of bankers funding both sides of the wars and profiteering off of it. So, you got the elites, they basically don't give a flying F who wins the war because they funded both sides. All right, they got money on each side, so they don't mind. But the point being is that the proxies are forming along the lines of American proxies, the United States or Babylon the Great, and then Gog and Magog, all right, which is Russia, all right. But they both pertain to the house of Esau, and that's why Yahweh said, if Satan be divided against Satan, how then can his kingdom stand? Leave someone go into the house and bind up the mighty man, then they should take the house. But guess what? Satan is divided against Satan, so they're gonna go to war against each other. So India's basically aligned themselves with the United States. They're a proxy for Babylon the Great. According to an Indian defense official speaking to the Times of India, it is also seeking comparable arrangements with Britain and Russia. Okay, they said India is negotiating similar pacts with the UK and Russia. The Russian one should be inked later this year. We don't have the intention or the wherewithal to establish overseas bases like China is doing far and wide. Okay, so India really, by default, is their hands being forced for them to get, align themselves with some superpowers to basically not be taken off the face of the map. But China, who's trying to bully their way. And really, that pertains to the prophecy of China being the Lord's washpot. And they're basically going to, rinse out Esau, Edom, pertaining to America. All right? And that's why they're ultimately being brought up, being established highly for that reason, to be a washpot of the Most High Power. Negotiations for the new agreement began in October 2018 between Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Japanese opposite number, Shinzo Abe. They agreed to further enhance the depth of their defense cooperation in order to contribute uh, to peace and security in the Indo-Pacific region. All right, so they basically got a gridlock with China being in the middle. That's why they formed that pact. The agreement lasted for 10 years, but is automatically renewed at the end of this period unless either side wishes to withdraw. China currently has the largest navy in the world with a total of 350 warships. Damn, man. All right. In 2017, the first overseas military base in Djibouti became operational. China can also access bases in Pakistan with which it has friendly relations for logistic support. According to the US Pentagon, so already, if you know where the Pakistan is, it's northeast of India. So that means they're kind of sandwiched India in. Okay. So they're making a pact with Japan, is them, countering that same, or whoever did it first is countering each other basically. China can also access bases in Pakistan with which it has friendly relations for logistics support. According to the US Pentagon, China is interested in setting up military bases in no other than 12 other countries. And why are they doing this? Because America's power is dwindling, they're circling the drain, and China is fancying themselves to be the next world power. Okay, but according to prophecy, again, it's the fact that they're going to be the washback. But in the eyes of the world, they believe they're going to be the next world power. Okay, but Israel's going to be the next world power. The so-called Negroes, Spanish, and Native Americans, the true Israelites of the Bible, they're going to come into rulership when Yahushua makes his return. But the point of what I just read is that they're establishing those bases in these different countries to counter America, who has bases all over the world. All right, they're following their blueprint basically. To counter China's growing power, India has been moving closer to the US, Japan, and Australia, a group known informally as the Quad. All right. Last week, General Bipin Rawat, Chief of India's defense staff, described the Quad as a good mechanism to prevent the region being dominated by a hostile power, that being China. Relations between China and India collapsed in June when 20 Indian soldiers and an unknown number of their Chinese counterparts were killed in a clash along their disputed border. So, the fact that you have the number of the Indian soldiers, it would have you believe that, and this is what had me believe, that, the Indian soldiers are on the receiving end of a hiding, a beating, basically. But the unknown number of China, that they may have actually got the worst end of that exchange, but for the sake of the media in the Western world, they may be, pushing it out there that India is the victim, all right, and to for propaganda's sake, to make China seem as the villain, okay. But who knows? They're not saying the numbers. We don't know, all right. As firearms are banned near the border, the two sides fought with melee weapons such as iron bars and clubs. Raw, man. So bludgeoned to death. Following the deaths, India banned the number of Chinese mobile apps, including TikTok and its networks, on national security grounds. So they were aiming for their pockets, basically, financially, taking them out. China is involved in territorial disputes with 6 of its neighbors over control of the South China Sea. The United States and other Western countries send warships on freedom of navigation patrols to show they reject Beijing's sovereignty over the region. Okay, so basically what you got happening is prophecy coming to effect, yeah? That's really it, okay? So, I'm going to read this and jump down to verse 10. So this Joel 3:1. For behold, in those days and in that time shall I bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem, which are presently in underneath Esau, Edom, right? And Babylon the Great, underneath Esau, Edom being the so-called white man as is known today, but being the evil twin of Jacob. I will also gather all nations and will bring them down in the valley of Jehoshaphat and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel. For they have scattered among the nations and parted my land. So basically, that's why I said in Psalms, the second chapter, why did they even enrage and the people imagine a vain thing? The kings of the earth set themselves. Let me quickly get that because I know it spills over into some. The kings of the earth set themselves, and the rulers take counsel together against the Lord and against his anointed, saying, let us break their bands asunder and cast away their cause from us. And that's what they done. All right. Psalms 83 also mentions that, and that's why the Lord spoke of that in the book of Joel. Okay, which I'm gonna go back to. Okay, because as well we're in the time of we're in the time of Matthew 24, Mark 12, Luke 21, where it tells you the rumors of wars and wars is the beginning of evils. So this is the beginning of the end, basically. All right, the end of the end. All right. I want to word it. It's the end of the end, but it's the beginning of the end, basically, pertaining to that scripture. So it says, this, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war, wake up the mighty men, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up, beat your plowshares into swords, and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. Assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about thither, cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Lord. Let the heathen be wakened and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat. India, they were part of the BRICS, but BRICS really pertain to economical gain mainly. But now they're getting their footwork. They're basically turning their plowshares into hooks, man. They're pruning the plowshares into hooks, all right, into spears, into weapons of war. So that shows you that time is picking up, man. The end is here, man. Everything you see happening pertains to the end, and it's gonna keep moving swiftly, and it's gonna keep rolling and rolling, getting worse and worse until the time of Yahushua coming. All right, we're entering into the phase of the second wave, and you know that the max vaccinations they're saying are coming out in October, and they're saying that anyone that takes it, if they have a deformity from it, the government ain't gonna be liable. So, hey, winter time's gonna be an interesting time, man, with this October surprise. Let's see what happens. All right. So it says, let the heathen be wakened and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat, for there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about. Put ye in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Come get you down, for the press is full and the fats overflow, for their wickedness is great. Multitudes in the valley of decision, for the day of the Lord is near in the valley of decision. The sun and the moon shall be darkened, and the stars shall withdraw their shining. Because this war is going to be a firefight, as it tells you in Isaiah the 9th chapter. It's going to be done by way of ice.